One way Atzilus is a dama to the kav.
So it's not just a dama to ak, it's even a dama to kav.
That means that in the Esespheres Atzilus, or through the Esespheres Atzilus, there's an expression of the Indian of Ein Seif. The Indian of Blikvul. Where he says in the end of the Maimer before, you have a Nivra Mugbal, right? That's the way he says, the way it plays itself out. You have a Nivra Mugbal. And the Maimer it says the Biktsar, but he says from Van and Shtam, the Tev of the Nivra. Every Nivra has a certain structure, or certain rules, certain characteristics, tchunis, the way it functions. Certain akbalas, mayim flows, it can't stand firmly. An eish, or every nivra has its gdarim. The last week's haftarah, something that's mugbal makim. So there's only a certain amount of oil that you're going to have. You can't, because there's kalim there, it's not a reason why the oil never ends, right? Apiteva. The rule is, fire is something that if you have, the more wicks that you have, the flame could grow more and more and more. Shaken oil is, you can lay out it's a thousand kalim, it's not going to make more oil. If you have a little jug, so it's not going to make it more. But the chayk, mitzat tchunas hanivra itself, Shemen has this akbala that if there's a certain quantity, you can't expand it. And Eish doesn't have that akbala. Because every nivra has a certain akbala, has a certain the definition of what the nivra is. And with behesim lazar has certain tchunas, which are behesim to its definition, to its hagdara. And the tchunas hanivra are neveh mitzad erakav, mitzad the chayes amalikalam. That's what the Rebbe Shav says in the end of the first name. Here it's not the same present. In other places, the mamashas of the nivra, the chumris of the nivra, the matter itself, that's mitzad. That's nothing to do with air. That's mitzad the seiv kolam and amosh other pchinis. But the fact that the nivra has certain tchunis, certain characters, a certain function, it's not the chaymer itself. It's a certain function that the nivra has that has to do with the chayes halaki, which is mislabish in the nivra. And the chayes halaki that comes from the erakav. Kalim are not the source of chayes. Chayes means there's a teichen ruchni. There's a certain inyan which is expressed through the nivra. Let's say mayim, the chayes of mayim expresses chesed, the eibish is chesed. There's a certain teichen ruchni, which is really teichen elaki, which is mlubash mayim. That doesn't stem from the kalim. From the kalim, the matter of the nivra, the yesh of the nivra, or the mitzias of the nivra comes from kalim. But the fact that every single nivra has a certain teichen elaki, it expresses a certain ma'ile kaviyachal nolakos, a certain getlech trait kaviyachal. Mayim brings out chesed, and eish is gvur, and every nivra. That's mitzad er, that's kav, that's er, that's gilei lakos. And but it's er, but it's not the way this luchur, and not the way there's this galas lakos, the way the gilei is mitzad etzem. It's the gilei elaki, the way he's mitzamtzim himself to be behesim to how much the nivra is able to handle. And that's why each nivra is makabel a certain chayes, but has some how much that nivra is able to handle. Now, ebazay, the nivra is mugbal. The eir amalubish by the nivra mugbal can't handle blikvul. Now we understand very well. Even a cup could only handle the amount of water that fits in the cup. More water, but nishkan and arangit. Alas kamakam that the davar mugbal can't handle blikvul. Lepel we see that the tchunas of the nivraim, there's a tchuna blikvul in the nivra. Every nivra has a certain aspect of blikvul in the nivra, a certain feature which is not limited. How is it shayach that in a davar mugbal there should be blikvul? So if you look at it, stam mitzad they say cheshvan wise, like it doesn't make sense. Then the fact that tzvar is kahem bevin is in kodah blikvul. How is the davar mugbal have a tchona blikvul within itself? It's a kasha. But the way they and this davar built-in mugbal is not it's blikvul. It's that it's not blikvul in itself. In how is it expressed the blikvul? That there's no rules, that gvul is misbatal, or that the gvul has an unlimited takeoff. The blikvul b'shteit in them that it's a blikvul the way it's it's memuzag with gvul, and not that we can understand how it works. It's not what we're coming to say. How can we understand that the davar mugvul shavet chona blikvul? That's the kapella. But the question is, what's the pella? We want to understand this pella. What is this? It's not the word that there's Inyani is not blikvul. If Inyani was blikvul, then it has no connection to gvul. Gvul and blikvul are two separate things. And for Kert B'shas, the blikvul is meir, the gvul is misbatal. Here, in what's b'shtei the blikvul? That the tchunas, that the nivra has a take of built-in mugbal, has an unlimited take. That the shemesh, which is davar mugbal, he has an unlimited take. So the blikvul it's integrated in the gvul. What's the pshat in that? So there's Mazir is because the Erakav, that's all in the famous of the Erakav. Because the Nakud of Erakav is not, on one hand, it's the Gili of the Ein Sof of the Eibishter. But it's the Gili of the Blik Gvul within Gvul. That's what Kav is. It's not Gvul. It's not Blik Gvul, because it's not, if Inyani would be Blik Gvul, then there would be no Gvul. Kav is Mitzuyr. It's Shaykhis to B'chinas Mido Gvul. It's Erach Chachma. But if it was just Chachma, if the Erach, if Sfiris of Atzilus would just be Erach Chachma, then it would be Chachma. Chachma is Gvul. It wouldn't have a Nakud of Pshittis within this Erach. It wouldn't have a Nakud of Blik Gvul, which is higher than Chachma. The Erach Chachma is Kailo Tu Afachim. On one hand, it's which is Gili Amar, Mein Amar, it's Ein Seif. It's Pshittis, Pashav Dalas of Pshittis. Le'idach, it's Pshittis, the way it's revealed within the framework of Chesed. That's a big Chiddush. Azivot me gesagt that Chachma is Chachma. Erach Chachma is the way it's Mitzir in the Tzir of Chachma. Here we're saying, no, it's not the Eir the way it's Mitzir. The Erach Chachma is Kailo two opposites. It has a trait of Blikvul and has a trait of Gvul. So before we understand from Manet Shtamta Zazach, I was saying last time from Manet is Kum, because it's Musik Pshittis, I'm saying, I'm not, that's, but the Nekudas Advarim is there's a different, when we speak about the Amshachah, Rebechinas Ein Sef, the first Amshachah. In Yoni, what's in Yoni, this Amshachah? It's also Cher in the Etzem. That the Etzem of what Alakus is, that should be open, that should be revealed. The Etzem is Blik Gvul, is Ein Sef. When this Etzem is if in Yoni of the area is that this Etzem Kameshu should be made. So b'shas meher the Rebbe Etzem Kameshu, what happens to any mitzvah which is not Holocaust? Gvul is bata b'tachlis. It's kolachshav the gabi the Eibishter. When the Eibishter's ain't safe is meher Kameshu, so Gvul is eis mitzvahs. There's no Gvul. There's shtaka mitzvahs. Everything's ein arech Holocaust. The kavanah of Erakav is not that the Blik Gvul should be meher Kameshu. The Blik Gvul integrated with the Gvul, or the Gvul integrated with the Blik Gvul from both sides. So there's we have a shaila. How does this work? How could you integrate? But we have to just the hair and the word that there's a chibur of Blik Gvul and Gvul in the Erach Chachma. It's not a chibur between Seviv and Mamali. That's going to be lost of it. Erach Kav is not a chibur of the Erach Blik Gvul and Gvul. That's not what he's saying. The Erach Blik Gvul in Yoni is that the Ein Sof Elokus should be Meir Kameshu. In Yoni of Erach Kav is not that the Ein Sof should be Meir Kameshu. The Ein Sof, the way it's made through the lens of Gvul. So that's also a pele, but it's not the same thing as this speaks of Yichas and Mamali. It's another. The Ein Sof Mamali is that the Ein Sof Kfi Shehu should be moving in Seichel. That's a whole different Indian. But we're saying something else. So if you use the dogma of the way it's Mizbat and Hagas and Evrayim and Hagas Ateva, the word is Avad is Blik Gvul. The fact that Svar can be is Blik Gvul. But what type of Blik Gvul is it? It's Blik Gvul that shatters Gvul, or that is the Gvul is unlimited. Is that the Gvul is unlimited. What do you want to bring out this word? Not the B'meili makes more sense that the Blik Gvul. We're not trying to make more sense. How does a Dover Mugla Keli to such a Indian? But it's a different Indian over here. It's that it's in Vas B'Shteit the Blik Gvul, and what's in Yoni of the Blik Gvul to bring out not the Eibishter's Ein Seif. The fact that Elokus has this Maile Kaviyachol, that there could be the Chibur of Blik Gvul and Gvul. L'chatchila, the Blik Gvul, how can you find that chibur? Because the Blik Gvul in Yoni there is not that Nishas has a cher in the Ein Sof Kameshu. The Blik Gvul, how much the Gvul is able to handle, and it's the Gvul the way it's integrated with the Blik Gvul. Which that's never of course up for the Ferris. But you understand the Indian? I'm saying doesn't understand but that's yeah. I mean that's different clearly. I'm saying, but that's a big chiddush. Azivot me gesagt that this is Erach Chachma Erach Chesed. It's not the Nukud of Ein Seif. I'm saying Al Derech is not the same meaning because but Al Derech the Rebbe speaks to Gabi the Baal Shem Tov and Al Rebbe that the Baal Shem Tov both sides the whole Gedech this was to regard the Primis, which the Primis is higher than Hasaga Be'etzem. Nigle Derais the Chelik Ateri which is Shaychas Tavan of Hasaga, that's the Chitzeni Ateri. Chelik Ateri which is Shaychas the Gilui. Primis Ateri is the Lekus Shebeteri, the Dargav which is higher than Hasaga. That's the Al Rebbe was Mamshech this Indian also in Seichel. So Al Rebbe's Indian is not Seichel, not to explain Achdus Havayim. To an Indian which is Be'etzem not Seichel, and that Indian should be able to be expressed, should be able to be nergash through Seichel. Different Biyurim. I'm saying the point when we speak, I say Atzilus Damal Elin, so it's different Havana what Atzilus is. It's another certain. Good, Lamar Anim in the Maimer Vayelach. Yeah, but there's the Chaltz Mashlev there. Good. I don't. Usually there's a blue light, no?
Yeah, we use the other way.
Huh? So it's.
I don't know.
So tight. Good place. Good. Lamer Zen Tzeit Maimer. ויולך Havayis Hayom. It was off, right? it's already here, it should work. No. ויולך ויסיים ברוח קודם אז כל הלילה ויבוקו המים. Yeah, so the nest of Kriyas Yam Suf was that the Eibishter kept the water standing with a ruach kodim, with a ruach mizrachis aza kol halayla veibok hamayim. Tzarech lovin like Kriyas Yam Suf lehayin in TV. Yeah, it wasn't that there was such a strong wind which kept the water standing. It was a nest nifla yitzim midarchi hateva. Yeah, there's different pratim advarim exactly what the nest is, different shittis b'zeh. But the Alter Rebbe brings in the Tanya Sheikhad V'Amunah that the nest, that not only that it's not the pshat that the wind kept the water up, the water itself became hard. The Pesach in Az Yashrik Nitzvu Kumenedig Uchayma, the Alter Rebbe says Nitzvu Kumenedig Uchayma, that the water stood like a wall. Punkt as if steiner, stones stand firmly. The water stood firmly. That ruach kenisht uftan, that the water should stand firmly. Ruach could block the wall. Also, not I'm saying that you could have as a ruach kodim that should take the as a halt and zeichet apel. But more than that, the Rebbe learned Virashi is mefarish that the nestig event that the water pushed was firm. Nitzvah kechayma. So that a ruach kenis shuftan. So the chorus nest nifla yitzim darchi atava. So lama yitzarach liyis a ruach kodim. The pale wind, a strong wind, could block water. So here it sounds like as I made it the wind. It's gehalten ifila yam. I mean, wind could blow water, but not to hold, not to push the ocean too much. The wind, but here it kept the water. But the snishlemis was a nest nifla yetzim darcheta because the water stood like a wall. So what wasn't the bechlal gadar zayin this negative. So remember, so loy hayetzerach liyis shumacharas lazeh. The say the way was this kilu that there was a wind, and the wind bechlal refrains the water from being mispashed, and then the nest came and took it a step further. So the Rebbe Shab was saying, side beside the nest was a nest in place of darcheta, but side beside so often that water should be firm, that there's helfen avint. So why did you have to make it gradual? Anyway, if gradual only works if you have one thing leads to the next, so then you can do it gradual. But if side beside the nest is something which is kein shaychus l'shuteva, so what's the point of doing it in a gradual way? B'chitzenis is gradual. The side beside no. Oven says Allah is worldly ill. That's still a snicker. Adam Hashem Adam Le'el. Liye shubchinas gilei helim. Gan v'chsiv ha'chochma intimot so mizbar le'il. The Masha tells Adam Le'el who's a handle gabiyak. It's the first beer. He says. Then he says gam le'gabi klolos hakav. What's the beer that I says gilei helim? Le'gabi klolos hakav ki beis mini hamshachas yesh. There's two efanim of hamshachas from the Ein Sof. There's Aleph, the Ein Sof, the way is nimshach v'chinas gvulum mida, gvul, and that's the gilei hakav. That's why it's an air which is mislabish b'pnimis in kelim and elamis. Then there's vabeir is b'chinas Ein Sof. The air which is meir, the Ein not to be Ein Sof is nisgale through gvul, but the way Ein Sof is nisgale kameshu b'chinas Ein Sof. Shezeu ha'aretz b'chinas malchus Ein Sof. That's the reimus of Ein Sof. The reimus of Ein Sof kameshu. Now v'agav, so the tzil damal el legabi the hamshach b'chinas gvul which is hamshach kav. Why is a kav eldin? A kav gamkin shesh m'chosim lifnei tzimtzum. From the kav is not nimshach from the tzimtzum. Kav is nimshach from the shalifnei tzimtzum. And we let's make namor made in b'chinas Ein Sof. The gabi b'chinas zu chochma that tzimtzum b'chinas damal gabi hamshach b'chinas Ein Sof ksiva chochmai. So the ma'ase is that what do we understand? The way we understand, we're going to see from the Alter Rebbe's lashon the Maimer, the whole beer that Atzilas Damal El Gabi Kav is based on the Alter Rebbe's the beer the Alter Rebbe's mevar Yivil V'Shmalchus that there's shtei mini hamshachas from Ein Sof. That hamshachas hakav is hamshachas b'chinas gvul mida. But we'll see. He's going to say, but the way to understand the Hemshech here, the mashmos over here is that when we say that there's two efanim of hamshachas from Ein Sof, the mashmos is there's kaviyochel one Ein Sof. There's one etzem which is Ein Sof, and there's two efanim of this Ein Sof is nimshach. It's not two inyanim in the Ein Sof itself. There's Ein Sof is bli gvul. There's two efanim how this Ein Sof could be meir v'nirgash by a makabel. One way, in a way, as a herzach Ein Sof kameshu. Another way, through tzimtzum, that the blig vos is galing vo. That's the mashmos. So Mele fragt as a shayle, so adain tzarich love it. Me'ach hashachach legabi akav, hu b'chinas adam le'elyin, hainu b'chinas atzilis, which atzilis mishu b'chinas gilei helim. That means that a kav is not a be'ein arech legamri. It's not a nayi inyan. Legabi the kav is megale, the helim of the kav, and va'kav from vanet v'nimshach the kav is nimshach b'chinas atzmis in a sof shlifnei tzimtzum. So kav is air. Kav is not nimshach from tzimtzum. Tzimtzum is kav helim. You say the rishim or kalim, they're nimshach from tzimtzum. So what's the Indian? What means they're nimshach from tzimtzum? There's two tnuas kav yochanolukos. There's the Indian agili that mitzad the etzem has the shleimus of being nizgale, of being meir and and then there's the ma'ila of the Eivish as the yechelis lahalim misatzme. the kav helam, the kav tzimtzum. But vana stammt kav not from the kav tzimtzum, from the kav gilui. So the kav gilui, so tzimtzum kav is it's nimshach from b'chinas shlefnei tzimtzum, and the klal is that made amar. So ibazei v'im kein haru gam b'chinas gilem. So the kav is gilei helam, the gabi eider nusaf shlefnei tzimtzum. So he's going to go through a whole second but what's Mara is bringing? The kasha he's going to ask is the kav is doch made amar, the gabi nusaf shlefnei tzimtzum. So how could and Chachma tells us gilei helam the gabi akav. So how could Chachma that still is be yesh ma'ayin the gabi amshach b'chinas insof? So the way he touches it here in the beginning of the Maimer is the mechuvan of Kav is that the insof should be nimshach elamas. How does that happen, Taka? Through tzimtzum. Means kav mitzad atzma is but through the fact that the is nimshach through tzimtzum, the male is able to be nimshach elamas. But since sof kav is and may namar, which mar the ein sof. So how can it be be'ein arech to the amshach hashniya? We're dealing the kav is be'ein amar to the same ein sof. Sachakol, it's not the Ein Sof the way it's Meir in his, it's Meir the ganze Ein Sof. It's the Ein Sof the way he's Meir b'gvul. But it's Mein Amar. He's Megala the Ein Sof in a limited way. Let's say. How could you say that if the Kav is Mein Amar to Ein Sof and the Amshach Hashniya, the Amshach Hashniya Ein Sof is also the Gili of the same Ein Sof. So how could that Tzilas be Be'ein Arech the Gabi one the Gabi the Dover Habam and Amaker and be Gili Helam the Gabi the Maker? Yeah, proceed the Shayla. Yeah, that's the. But here, it's the way it seems like he's mentioning the Derech of the Kasha, so he brings up the whole Derech of it. What's negate to the Kasha? He says, "Akavarim k'nes hasim says of netzimtzum," and is mein amar. You cannot do k'nes gilei heler. And this vagam is the chore kav is not in the middle. He's bavarni, and let's just see the Hemshech Kasha. He's vimkein. He goes, "I'll go see the Sadrichis." He says, "Vimkein hare," in the line that starts gilei and the Rishut test. Vimkein hare Hemshech Hakava the akir of the Erin Sof. If kav is me'in amor to that, so how could Chachma be gilei helam to the kav and me'in arich to that? What's the shayla? But there's that like a segraim to be mevases. This the kud as the kav is me'in amor. That's it when I read though. So what would be the Havana Pshuta? It says that means first, even though in other words, the way we're learning now is in order the how are we able to find that the bligvol should be mizgal in a way? Let's take the dugma or we're not dealing with the chachma itself, but how can we find this dugma that you say the code of tmidish that bligvol should be mizgal not as a tnu of bligvol itself, but that the teva has no limits, that the gvol has no limits. So that's through a tzimtzum, through the kavat tzimtzum. So there's a mitzad, and tzimtzum is the mocker for gvol. So through that we're able to have an erakav that the kav should be shaykh to gvol. So the Eirakav, the Eirmugul was Nevei Mitzad Tzimtzum. So it's not a Tnu of Eir. Let's say just Parsha Sadvarim. You have a Rav which is Ve'en Arich to the Talmud, and now the Rav is being Malamed the Seichel to the Talmud. So he's being the Rav Seichel is Ve'en Arich to the Talmud. The Seichel, the way the Rav understands it, the Talmud, there's no way for the Talmud to grasp it. So the Rav has to be mitzamtzim his Seichel, and then he's able to give the Talmud something that the Talmud's able to handle. So the Talmud's able to handle, that's Nevei Mitzad the Keich HaGvul of the Rav. It's not an in of Eir. It's not his espashtus. It's not his amshach. It's fakir. The Rav is mailam on his espashtus, and he gives the Talmud something that the Talmud is able to relate to. So he says. So then kav is not Eir. So does he says.
I'm forgetting about the fact that you spoke before about Tzimtzum and Parsa, Chiluk Tzimtzum Parsa.
Why are we forgetting about that?
Because then we explained that Tzimtzum is not.
Tzimtzum derech siluk. Here's Tzimtzum derech siluk. It's an understanding. So the gam doshal kavod that Tzimtzum. We come in Ribur Beitz Chaim. She's a mash acher that Tzimtzum himshach from Erin Sof kavich liyashim Erin Yigul Shalei. So you're saying first of all, state in Eitz Chaim that kav it's the kav stamtish from the Tzimtzum. Kav is not neveya from the Tnu of Tzimtzum. Kav is the acher the Tzimtzum. You have to understand this in the Moshel. We'll get to this, but that acher that Tzimtzum is Erin Sof nimshach gavarna ilamis. So kav is amshach from where? Kav is amshach which is neveya from Tzimtzum, or kav is that the acher that Tzimtzum Erin Sof was nimshach ilamis. Kav is la'achar at tzimtzum ein esaf as nimshach ha'elamis. That's number one. He says. We'll see that's number one. Hemshech ein esaf kav echad yashim eira eagle shalei. Means from eira eagle, from this eira which is makiv the eira in tzavas seviv. Von dem is Nimshach geworden la'acher Tzimtzum a kav. So the kav is not neveh mitzad Tzimtzum. Kav is neveh mitzad the Ein Sof shelifnei Tzimtzum. Number one. And v'reisha elyon shel kav nimshach v'nein sof atzmi v'negeh. So that's even without any special Hachodesh. Means that sof kol sof the kav in Yoni is, what does it mean that chelik elyon shabai in nimshach v'nein sof atzmi v'negeh? That in Yoni if kav is to be behemshach to the Ein Sof. Kav is to introduce to the world as Zach was Tom mit the Ein Sof shelifnei Tzimtzum, not Tzimtzum. He's not here just to give a rein psateichen in the makam Tzimtzum. He's not one of the ingredients of Tzimtzum. There's the mechuven of Tzimtzum, and Kav is a prat l'shleimus in Tzimtzum. Kav is another Inyan. It's la'achar Tzimtzum, in Sof in Hemshech gewarn Welt. In was for Eifen, he's not going into was for Eifen, but in Sof is Hemshech, it's Hamshach from Ein Sof, it's from different. And then he says, befrat, the mashkosam makom acher, the Eifen Hamshach is a Kav hu sha'achar, this in Samachalef, this the la'ach, Eifen Hamshach is a Kav hu sha'achar, since in Almoser, so in Rijich, Gimshach harkach lies b'chinas kiruv. There's a said in this Meirach and Samachalef, that is more there that's not only that the kav is nimshach from the Ein Sof and not from the Tzimtzum. From vasfarat tnu and Ein Sof. The Ein Sof, we have to see it in the mashal a little bit, but the way he's saying it here, the Ein Sof, there's the Ein Sof lifnei Tzimtzum, the Ein Sof is a malam makom achol. He was bizgalus. Mitzad is galus of Ein Sof lehei makom b'midas elamus. So there's his almas. So kelim and gvol, they stem from elamus. Masha'inkin Eirakav is not Neveah from Tzimtzum. The Kelam and Elamis are Neveah from the Tzimtzum, from the Kav Helam. Kav stammt is in the Kav Helam. Kam stammt, the La'achar at Tzimtzum, the Eir was Nimshach and Elamis. But the Shaila is, in was fara Eifen steht der Eir. So the Rebbe Shabbos Meisif in Samachalif, that La'achar at Tzimtzum Chazar V'heir, that the same Tnuah of his Galus, the way it was Lifnei at Tzimtzum, the Kav is Nimshach from the Tnuah Sagilui, which is the Makkah, which is Ein Sof, not from the Tnuah Sal. Chazar V'heir. Maybe we'll speak a little bit of mashal, and then we'll be a little bit clear. But you see what he's saying here. Behind the Shalom Shal Zakav, Tnuah Hafchis Matzimtzum Akeda. The Tnuah, the way the air was b'sham mitzadat tzimtzum ishu in silukar. The air is in a matzav of siluk that his Inyan, the Inyan of Gili, shouldn't be Meir, shouldn't be Nirgash. The Tnuah of Yiluk should be bis almos, shouldn't be Nirgash, shouldn't be Meir Begoli. And Vas Fara Eifon was the Kav Nimshach. When Kav Yochel, the Kav is not Nimshach from the Kav of Tzimtzum. From Helim, Vertish Nimshach Kav. Kav is Nimshach from the Ein Sof. But the Ein Sof, the way is in the Tnuah of his almos, the way the Ein Sof is the Tnuah of constraining himself, measuring Kav Yochel the Ein Sof, or the Kav is Nimshach from the Tnuah Sagili of the Ein Sof. So thus Dr. Rebbe will say in Tavar Samach Aleph that La'achar at Tzimtzum Chazar Ha'er V'Heir. The Ein Sof Shalifnei at Tzimtzum, La'achar at Tzimtzum was there was a Tnuah Hafchis in there, and he's the Tnuah of Gili, a Tnuah of his Galus, and from the Tnuah of his Galus, from Dosbert Nimshach the Kav. That there was a Chazar V'Heir and there is a Shalifnei at Tzimtzum. We'll see in the Mashal they have it a little more clear, but it's a Shuinis. V'charga Chazar V'Nimshach Hainu Be'er Sof Shalifnei at Tzimtzum Chazar V'Heir but the Shiyam Shal Zakav. Let's see the mashal, then we'll have this more clear. So this, I'm saying, the regular Rav Talmud, that saying you have two, in our Malamed learns with a kind, so of course the Malamed is much on a higher level than the kid, than the Talmud, than the child. But it's not in of Ein Arech. You don't need a tzimtzum derech siluk. The Malamed doesn't have to be misalik lagamri the way he understands Chumash to teach it to the 8-year-old boy. Why? Because there's an erech. I mean, he's much older and he's yarn nechveis, but lepoil there's an erech. Versteht is besser, versteht is winziger. The child has his brain is less developed. The Rav is much more. Asach mer is not an of in erech. You don't need a tzimtzum derech siluk. So the Rav has to be memayit a little bit. You shouldn't give over the whole emek the way he sees it. You should give over a limited version, much more of a limited version. You don't need a siluk. He doesn't have to be in a tnu of his almos. He doesn't have to totally shut down the reichkeit of the way he sees it. Doesn't have to totally shut it down. He could have his understanding, just give over to the Talmud chelik mit tzimtzum of was versteht. Nicht die ganze. Siluk darf nicht schaden. Siluk means they have to totally shut down, you have to totally be meilim on the reichkeit the way you see the Inyan. Because if it's a cheren, even a horele of the Inyan, the way the Rav sees it, there's no nesinas from him to explain it to the Talmud. That's only by Rav Talmud. There's no erech between the Rav and the Talmud. There's no. It's bein erech mamish. So there's no. It's not shy to say a little bit. A little bit is shy to say. Say give me mitzamsim seichel nachmer vinziger till I have a svara pshuta. But from being mitzamsim seichel blig vol darges, you're not gonna have a stone coming from it. There's no erech. There's no similarity between a stone to seichel. So from being mitzamtzim der chemiyat a seichel was mer and was mer vet shvern Wasser. There's no connection. So derech zeh you have a Rav Hamosh which is bein arech. So the Rav is just being mitzamtzim his svara, or his way of seeing things, being mitzamtzim it more and more and more. The Talmud is a whole different caliber. It's not just a lower level. They're a different caliber in Ganzen. Bein arech. The Meir vet shelfen tzimtzim derech. They needed tzimtzim derech silu. Was helped tzimtzim derech silu. So what's the mashal? The Rebbe would always say this. I don't know if they found, if you know exactly if this Strambik Sumer the Rebbe said it, but he was always, what's the Hamchashe? I think it says somewhere that the mashal of Rav Talmud the Rebbe Narech needs into the Siluk is al derech Rebbe and Chassid. It's not I think the Friedrich Rebbe says it's not Rav Talmud, but that but gefind. Rex Seichel itself, Seichel is always a very innovative. It's not an innerech. But I go upon it, but so the Rebbe said once two. Shalom or to the Gmais of the Einarich of Rav and Talmud. One even was that the Rav sees the Indian the way it is in Atzilus, and the Talmud sees the Indian the way it's in Bia. So Atzilus and Bia is zwei Elemes. You know, see from the Geschmackheit von der Svara, wird es werden, I'm saying up Yishab, you might more and more the Rakat of a Svara, and you come to the Geschmackheit of an apple, a Mesikus Gashmis. It's another Welt. So it's nicht mir helft nicht das. Aber Dogma selber hat es ja. That's one. But the Rebbe another dogma was another dogma was Ria and Shmir, Ria and Havana, and Asaga. That the Rav sees the Indian, and the Talmud is not shaykh to see the Indian. The Talmud you have to give over the Hasaga of the Indian. Basically, this gives just this uptight nebisol. There's a big difference between if someone sees something, even begashmis, you see something, so you see the thing itself. The thing itself is you have the davar atzme. How there's in seichel. If someone not only there's a musig of re'iyas hadvar seichel. Okay, chachachma. Someone has the re'iyah of the Indian. So hatta the Indian alein. You have the muscle itself. You have the re'iyas, and you have the muscle itself. Hasaga means, what does it mean parshas hasaga? Hasaga means that the thing itself I don't have. The chodesh is achalein. But I have rayis ve'choches. My seichel is machriach with rayis ve'choches if the thing exists. Adazach is kach v'kach. The Indian itself, I'm not margish. The Indian itself is not visible to me. But mitzat seichel, you can come to different echreichim and echoches. Adazach is faran. So the chilik between seeing the Indian to knowing the Indian mitzat seichel ve'choches is be'en arech. If you just even say it mitzad. If someone doesn't have the Indian itself, you just have the rayis ve'choches for an Indian. So how strong? How strong do you have the Indian? According to how strong your choches are. According to how much is your understanding. You could limit how much is your understanding. According to how much your seichel is made in machriach the Indian. Mashigin, if you see the Indians, so it's according to the take of the Indian. There's no limits. If you don't have the Indian itself, it's you have rayis ve'choches and the chiyuvim and esbeirim. So the vifel liks at the zach by the cup. According to how much your seichel is machriach, the take of the Indian. Seichel is mugbal, your rayis are mugbal, so there's more, there's less. It's all the Indian of gvul. Mashigin, if someone sees the Indian itself, the Indian alein is the chanam mugbal. It's the take of the Indian. You have the zach alein, so you don't have it in a limited way. People dying seichel is machriach. You see, even the Rambam brings that someone someone sees a color, let's say red, yellow, whatever. You see colors. You want to explain a summa how red looks. That's the way you take red. Even a mute of it, a mute of seeing, of eyesight, kemenish ibergeben so an iver, even a mute. In order to, he can't see red. There's no way for him to see it. He has no kelim to see it. So you have to bring him out the idea of red a whole different way by bringing out ideas. But they're bringing out. There's a musig of a sharper, a weaker. There's punkt to try to bring out different characteristics of red. But when someone sees it, there's abyssal zen. You can't take a little bit of sin and give over to an iver. Hasaga, so you can give a little bit more of hasaga. But see, you have the thing itself. What's a little bit of it? A little bit of it, he's not shaykhs to see it. He's not shaykhs to this. Someone that doesn't have the eyes to see it. If he can't see it, he can't even see a little bit of it. So the Rav, Azer Zatizach, so how's he gonna... You want to give over a little bit of your vision, you can't give over a little bit of your vision. You can give over the understanding of red. That's not chazach, but you have vision. So the Shaila is this. So that's the Dugam of Rav Talmud. The Rav sees the Indian, and the Talmud is like an Iver. He has no kelim to see the Indian. But you could explain to him, Rayis ve'echachas, and there's very that there's such a thing called red. Let's say, be able to explain to an Iver, Rayis ve'echachas, that there's such a color called red. But it's not a prat, it's not a mute of the way the Rav sees the Indian. Because the Rav sees it, and a little bit of eyesight you can't give to someone who doesn't have eyesight. So, but it's going to be in a whole different knife. So you need it. So the shaila is, if the Rav is bein arich to the Talmud, let's say in the dugma over here, the nimshal, the Rav is ein sof betachas, the Talmud is gvul. So what's the telfon at tzimtzum derech siluk? What's the telfon at tzimtzum? What's siluk going to help? Manavshach. If the Rav been neisif to the fact that he sees red, he also has rayis. So what do you need a siluk for? Don't focus on what you see. Give over the seichel asagi. Give over the rayis that there's something called red. And if you only have the vision, you don't have rayis yet. So what's the telfon siluk? Well, let's just see the lashon way he says it.
What's the question? Can you read the question?
If manavshach, let's say someone, you see the color red, you have no rayis ve'echachis to prove that there's something called the color red. If you wouldn't see it, there was no way that your brain would get to this idea that there's something called red. You can have rayis ve'echachis and things that you never saw. Have a raya ve'echachah that something is kaf. Well, let's say the way we know, there's no way that I'm going to come and prove there's something called the color red. If I wouldn't know, and how do I know about red? I see it. Someone that can't see it, so you have no way of giving over to them. What's tzimtzum derech siluk is also not going to help. A percentage of my knowing of it I can't give over anyway. And still, what's the house siluk going to help? Manavshach. And if there's rayis ve'echachis, so this a little the word is a little bit of a darkest word, but the point is that the shada is like this. Let's say the color red is not such a good dogma for this Indian, but we'll just use it as dogma ba'alma. Let's say b'neisif to the. Let's say it would be rayis ve'echachis ba'ilam that is a color red. That you'll be able to prove even that someone that never saw the color red, let's say. And Ivers, let's say you'll be able to prove someone that knows what colors is, you'd be able to prove to him that there's a color neisif besides for blue, yellow, chayes, green, so that there's a color red. You'll be able to prove it to him. But, so, Eibs what given rayis. From wann stammt die rayis? Where does it come from? That there's a rayis to prove that a gewisse Sach is kayim. Let me bring this in a Heimer, rather. That the rayas don't come from, say, there's a thing, there's a color red, and the rayas, a smart person found the rayas that there's red. Rayas also come from the thing itself. The thing exists, and the rayas ve'echachas come mitzad the thing itself, mitzad the neise itself. So, in other words, the fact that you have, let's say, a raya from the fact that that whatever the raya is, or the fact that this table is kach, is a raya that there's red there. So manishtam the raya because red is mispashet in the because the mitzvah of red is nachutz. Also legabe is mispashet also in bachutz. The rayis v'chachas are neveya, not that a person is mamtzi rayis v'chachas or something. That's also neveya mitzvah the thing.
Hard to do, right?
Good, but I just want to bring out the point. That's initially go up. That's negate the nimshal. But the shaila is the coil. In other words, let's take a negate a muscle. Forget about now red. There's a muscle, right? So there's a muscle. There's a certain inyan which is the inyan is a true inyan. And it's also mukhrech mitzad other inyan, let's say. A certain truth, and this emes is also mukhrech, not only if you see the rechtigkeit of this inyan itself, you'll see the truth of the inyan, itself. There's rayas also from other inyanim, that you must say emes v'raya. From one stammt is that there's rayas from another inyan to the emes v'raya. Because the idea is mispashit and is intertwined to other inyanim. The word is the idea itself. There is what I'm trying to say is when the Rav has the inyan itself, the Rav sees the muscle. The muscle automatically also has this inyan that is nispashet in bachutz. When the Rav has the inyan itself, he has the inyan itself. The inyan itself, Avada Gevis also has is the mucker for everything. If you have red itself and the rayas be'etzem come from the mitzvah, from the host itself. So if you have the mahos, automatically you have the rayas also.
So why do you use it?
1 second. Versteht das Sach? If you're using the nimshal, the bissel mer, let's say, but the Rav is Meir Ein Sof. So if Ein Sof was, there's no gvul in Ein Sof. Ein Sof is only Ein Sof. Good. The Pearl we say that the Ein Sof kshem sheyesh lekeach bulti bagvul kach yesh lekeach b'gvul. So, but the question is like this. The question is, from what point of view does the Rav see the inyan gvul? Let's say that we're talking about in the mashal. Let's say use the mashal of a Rav Talmud. The Rav sees the etzem inyan. The etzem inyan is not mugbal that it's dafke and tzir of. It could also be you can say machliach. You could prove it. You could explain it to Talmud. But the way the Rav sees it, the way the Rav sees the Hezberim and the Asagas, that's all als a prat in the Shleimus HaInyan. The muskel mitzad, the Shleimus HaMuskel mitzad, it's not limited to only being taken. In a way of saying it directly, you could also explain it to someone that's outside of the Inyan. The fact you're able to explain the Inyan to someone that's outside of the Inyan, that's because the Inyan also has the Shleimus that it can be proven. But the way the Rav sees it is that he has the Inyan itself. By him is Meir, the whole Shleimus Inyan. A prat in the Shleimus Inyan is that not only if you have the Inyan Gufa, but also if someone doesn't know the Inyan is mispashet there. But there he doesn't see the Hezberim als a parsha b'fnei atzmei, als a Inyan b'fnei atzmei. He sees it as a prat in the take of an Inyan. It's not an Inyan for itself. And the Talmud is not a keli for the Inyan. He's not even a keli for the Inyan of Hezber, the way it's nirgash that it's keteitzah of the Inyan. The Talmud's mechutz to the whole thing. He just needs to have someone to tell him a raya that the Inyan is kach v'kach. He needs the Hezberim not the way it's nirgash by them, the take of an Inyan. Chosh is hard to have if I state the close Inyan. Let's take the musik in the mashal. You have the Rav sees a gewisser Inyan, mitzchol v'raya, and he sees it in a very high eifan. Let's say this Inyan, the pile. Let's say we're Nevi'im, we know that through Tzimtzum Mekanis Mazur Zayin Sakind. You could give over this Inyan in a very limited way. He sees it, but you're able to also explain rayas for the Inyan. Let's say for man and Shtamtas that there's rayas for the Inyan, or that you could explain the Inyan even to someone that doesn't see it. That's because the Inyan, the Svara has in it unlimited, has the Shleimus that it's not limited that a dafka is only to be revealed to someone that's B'teicha Inyan. It could even be revealed in a tzura of a Svara. In a tzura of a raya. Means that's the take of an Inyan. So that when the Rav b'shas before the Tzimtzum, the Rav also has a seichel hashayich l'talmud. But before the Tzimtzum, how does the Rav see the seichel hashayich l'talmud? He sees that that's all a prat in the shleimus Inyan. It's not an Inyan for itself. The raya and the hezber is not a metzias for itself. It's a prat in the shleimus Inyan. You understand the meaning? Yeah. Means by him he doesn't see any chshivus or any value in bringing a raya to the Inyan. He has the Inyan, and the Inyan is so strong that it even has a proof. But the Talmud is not a keli for the Inyan. That's why he's blind. He's not a keli for the Inyan. Same way, you want to say how red is so strong, not only you could see red, you could even prove red. But if you want to bring out how take of red is, you have to be a keli for the Metzias of red. But if you have someone you can't see red. So you're not saying a svara, and through that is a chetim to bring out the take of Inyan. You still want to bring him rayas v'chachas. The Talmud is not a keli to the Inyan gufa. So for the way that Rav has a seichel hashayich l'talmud, it's shalei l'fi erad that the Talmud should be mekabel that Inyan. So that's the Versteht the meaning? So that's the siluk. The siluk is that what's the siluk? The siluk is that the Rav has to be mailim the reichkeit and the hafla the way he sees the Inyan. There's pratim, but I'm just saying the Cheshvan advarim. The Rav is mailim the Inyan the way he sees it, and is able to appreciate the seichel hashayich, the raya k'may shehu la'atzmei, not the way it's a prat in the take of Inyan. Understand the Inyan? Means be'etzem the seichel hashayich l'talmud is there even before the tzimtzum. The question is, in order for the Rav to see the seichel hashayich l'talmud and to give it chshivus for itself, there's a chshivus of gvul in itself. He has to be mailim the bli gvul legamri. His way of looking at it legamri. His way of looking at it is that what's the whole rachket of gvul? What's the whole mile of gvul that it brings out the take of a bli gvul? As that sort gvul that kol inyan is to bring out the take of a bli gvul, and the Talmud is not a keli for it, because the Talmud has no sense of bli gvul. He only has a sense of gvul. So avada lifnat sinsim the air is kelo the air hashayich lamekabel. Is kelo the air hashayich laelamis. Means the air itself is shalei leferach elamis. But even the air itself lifnat sinsim is kelo the air gvul. But the way the air gvul is lifnat sinsim, what's gvul? Gvul is all a prat to bring out the takeoff of the Ein Sof of the Eibishter. It's not limited to be dafke bli gvul kanechet zayin gvul. But if you're going to take gvul without seeing that it brings out the bli gvul of elukus, azag gvul nishtol lifnat simsim. In was besteht the whole inner of gvul lifnat simsim, that brings out that the Eibishter shleimus of the kula. But in Elam is herzach nish the Eibishter's bli gvul. They're gvul, they're chachma, and they're able to be margish in of chachma. So chachma is in b'fnei atzmei not as a hichetimtze as soll sich herren der Eibisches Blick wohl, as das Chochme, nicht da. So that's why the same thing in the Mashal of Rav Talmud. The Svara Shaykh al Talmud technically exists over there, but the Seichel Shaykh al Talmud, what's the Indian of the Seichel Shaykh al Talmud? The way it is by the Rav, which is Meir the Etzem HaSeichel, the Spashtus is just a pchin on how strong the Etzem is. But the Spashtus doesn't have chshivas for itself. And what's the whole yichus of that there's a level of the Seichel which the Talmud can understand? The yichus is that the Etzem HaSeichel is not limited. That the Rav Seichel is not mugbal. But Achshivas to explain it to a Talmud, that there's a Talmud, and can verstehen, not Gvul the way it's a bit of the Gvul. Gvul itself. That there's in the Rav on at Tzimtzum doesn't see any mile of Gvul. Through Tzimtzum and Siluk, so he's Mailim Legamri, the way he sees the Inyan, then there's space for him to see the Inyan in a totally different Eifen than the way it is Mitzad his Ishtaklos. He sees it all as the Tzah of the Etzim. He's Mailim his way of seeing it, and he can see the Tachtin as the Chshivas of the Tachtin Kameshu.
It's not lacking anything when if it doesn't have the gvul. Take if the gvul the way it is in Ein Sof, it's only based off of the.
1 second. So that's the issue. Let's see. They see the lashon here.
Trying to give an answer already?
To what?
Yeah.
An answer to what? No, so that's mevar. Yeah. That's mevar. Why mitzadecha the rabbis ve'enarech? Leidach through the tzimtzum to the besuf. If there was no hezber, if there was no gvul lifnat tzimtzum, so what's the tough from tzimtzum derech siluk? There is gvul, but the shaila is in order to see the gvul. Alta Indian for itself, you have to be mailim from the point of you have to be mailim the bligvul. That it shouldn't be meir. The gvul shouldn't be looked at from the point of view of bligvul. It should be looked at as an Indian for itself.
This not answering why the first shaila.
1 second, I just want to show where this Indian was. Not stand there. I'm saying vu likt is dan divert. It says like this. Brings the mashal of Rav Talmud. Me the mashal was saying Rav Talmud. The tchilas are sli tzimtzumer. What is the tzimtzumer? The mashal mailim sichel legami. Means the way he sees the Indian. He say ignores kaviyach, or he removes himself from the way he sees the Indian. That's mailim sichel legami. Okay, then we'll skip the Bacharka because it's another birth. So he says, Ube'emes, let's see there, we're going to go back to this line. Ube'emes, me'as gufa, from the etzem siluk, from the fact that Rav, first that's what Meir given Zain Seil, and then he removes himself. That it shouldn't be Meir, his tfis in the Zain, v'er kopt at them, his seichel. He says, Be'emes, me'as gufa, kvarnim tzayir ha'shayach l'makab. How's it, vi come from the siluk alein. Not by after the silik from the silik gufa nimser shaykh l'makab. How's it shaykh? It says v'hainu kasher silik v'atzim tzvim because there's a davka she'im motzi yachli sink his silik l'gamish shalish kalei his shumesh shalish l'shum seichel klal v'laz le'yimtzim is a shumer aval kasher silik eni l'gamri oz me'asilik gufa nimser shaykh l'makab. How is it? It says yesh kvanim tza'er gam kedem shetzim tzimazat since this hashayach l'makab be'atzim exists before. In the air, b'shas it's meir sichlei atzmi of the Rav. Dort nishin da, not only the air of the seichel Rav, which is bein the reich to the Talmud, also there's nimtza ha'er, which is shaykh to the Talmud. So why do you need a tzimtzum derech silik avazeh? Is el sha'az any nikar klal? V'yodua, what's the ufto of tzimtzum? Sha'adei tzimtzum nasa havdole ben apnim zechitzenis. V'adei ze nasa nikar sh'lam makabel. So what's he saying? What's the ufto of tzimtzum derech silik? That the Eish Lamakabel should be nicker for itself. Lifnet, since the Eish Lamakabel, the Chitzeni is bottled to the premise. It's a prat in the premise. The Ufta, since the Rechsilik is that the Chitzeni should be an ini for itself. That's what he says here. Oh, there's Biyurim. I'm just saying the basic type. Now the Shaila is, saying the Biyurim, there's the premise at Tzimtzum. The Chitzeni says when the Rab is Mailim. His Seichel is able to see this Seichel HaShayach Kabbalah as an ini for itself. The Pnimis is because through of Siluk is so he sees things the way they are mitzad etzem. And mitzad etzem, the Talmud and the Rav is both. That's another. Maybe there's time we'll go through that, but it's another. It's not negay here, mamish. This minute, I just want to bring it at a different point. So that's number one. So then like now it's like this. The shaila is now the Rav found the Seichel HaShayach Kabbalah. From the Sila Guf is Nimtzah Shayach L'Makav. Say that. But the question is, the Rav Lepoel doesn't want to only give the Talmud the Heichachis for the Indian. He wants to through the kavanah of the Rav is that the Talmud Saf Kol Saf is say you use the mashal of red if you want to, you don't want to give him rayis that there's the color of red. You want to Saf Kol Saf elevate this summa, he should be able to see red, or he should be able to be sensitive to not only rayis to red itself. That's what the Rav wants. So the mechuven is not just to find the part of the seichel that relates to find the gvul in the seichel. The mechuven is that through the gvul he should Saf Kol Saf be margish the ein saf of the blig gvul of the ein. So for that you have to have chazer beher. There has to be amshachah from the ein saf. No, this mas was in abyssal maybe because there's two shlavim here. I mean it's not so pashut. There's one shlav is I remember this dogma's brought, but you say Moshe, you have a difference between. There's someone that someone says a psak halacha, not the whole shakvatari and lumped. It's just halacha. So there's someone that knows the psak halacha from Abu Malaket. So he knows the Malaket says that the yem aleph the Chanukah or b'yem shenachai madlikim shnei neiros. Then there's someone that knows machlekes b'sham b'silel. He knows the svaris. He knows this, and he also says that the second night of Chanukah it's sintman on tzvei neiros. But there's maskana is someone that knows whole shakvatari. The maskana it's not the only thing that he has. It's nirgash in the way he says the maskana that it's coming from. There's much more behind these words that he's saying. Someone that only knows this is someone that's making a psak dart and length and instruction, and he says that the second night of Hanukkah, I'm saying it's not going to be nirgash anything besides for the instruction that he's saying. Someone that he learns the sugya but he's not saying all the shakavataris. So it's a cheren that these words contain within themselves asach. So that's the first Indian. If there would just be, instead of sila gufa, there would only be the Talmud. What the Talmud here? Stam aichacha that they say when they get to the mashal. There's ein stuff. Hu levadi ein levadi the way it's more different at sims. The mizmargish elokus is bizgalus. The Eibush is bizgalus. And then there's Eibush Talmud. You're living in Elam Hazeh, but you have rayis that ein levadi. So one way is you have rayis that ein levadi. It could be a truk and you tell a guy, someone that has no chayis in the Indian of Ened Levadi. He doesn't. There's no lebedikait in it. He doesn't believe in it. It's not his life or anything. He has rayis. Chayis Ened Levadi. He has rayis. The Alter Rebbe's shitta is that Achtas Vay means Ened Levadi. That's not. It's not a life thing. He has rayis for it. So that can be inside the silu gufa. Inside the silu gufa you have a irakvol. But the mechuven is not stam. You should have a davar mugbal. That it should be nergish in this davar mugbal that it stems from something which is ain't safe. See, it should be nirgash in the Seichel Shaykh al-Talmud that nicht in them besteht the ganze Meis. Really, there's an Eibishter which is ain't safe, and Eid Novade is bligvo. Lepoil, right now, the only thing we're giving over to you is this bechein, this sachakal, because he's not a keli for more. But it's nirgash that this is coming from a much deeper place. That's why you need it. That's what he says before. The kav is not nimshach from inside the tzimtzum. The seichel shaykh al-makam inside the tzimtzum atzma you have seichel shaykh al-makam. Then there is that the kav is nimshach from it's amshach from Ein Sof. It's amshach from Ein Sof. But he's adding here nicht nur amshach from Ein Sof. It's that the Rav the mechuvan over here is not only to give him stam as svara. It should be meir in the svara. It should be nirgash in the svara that it's an from an Indian which has no shaykhis to chachas klal. The kav is nimshach from a tnu of chazer v'hei. So what I'm saying is, if you connect it to before, if there would just be without the devort of chazer v'hir, then there would be tzimtzum. The kav is the era shaykh al-Talmud, and the era shaykh al-Talmud would be gvul, wouldn't be bligvul, would be mugbul. But that's what he says here. The mechuvan of the Rav is not stamped to give a limited version of Elokus. To give the Talmud a hergish of the Ein Sof of Elokus, the bligvul of Elokus, but not the bligvul the way it's shelo gvul, the bligvul the way it's, or the bligvul the way it is nizgala through the gvul, or the gvul the way it's nirgash in the gvul that it stems from a bligvul. That's me. Just to use that mashal. If you use the mashal of for chazer v'heir from the mashal of the saying someone saying psadin after learning the whole shakvatari. So in that din is nirgash that it's coming from a place that there's shakvatari and svaris and emek. It's not stam shakvat. It's not stam psak din. It's a psak din that's coming from a lot of emek. It's nirgash in the psak din that it's a titzav a davar amik ma'id. So al derazeh the kav is the mechuvan of the kav is that in the gvul. In the era chachmet should be nirgash. We're explaining a elokus in a limited version. We're explaining elokus through era chachmet. It's masber elokus, but it's nirgash that this hesber that's not the whole thing. It's nicht that in was besteht, lachar tzitz is not nirgash, in was besteht, Hatzilis is not, in was besteht the truth of Elokus, I'm a kind of verstehen. It's be'etzen Elokus is ain't sof betachlis. But at least proven verstehen. It means if you can't get the whole emek of the Chanukah, this is a result of the whole emek. So that's the tnu. So kav is a tnu of chazer beheir. The nekudes is as a cher and the bligvul. But the bligvul lepoil before the gvul can handle. But not the mechuven is to give something which the Talmud is able to handle. To give the Talmud a hergish in the bligvul. So how do you give a hergish in the bligvul? It should be nergish in the gvul that is an extension of the bligvul. That is nimshach of the bligvul. Or it's the bligvul the way he is nizgalet through the gvul. I'm saying it's on both sides.
Don't you need to have some sort of association, some sort of appreciation in order to be able to appreciate the story behind like the halacha or whatever?
No, and the mashal, I don't know if it's a good mashal, I'm saying there could be, saying that everybody could, the figure was used many times, but this someone, everybody could feel you have someone speaking about something and he only knows what he's saying. He only knows I don't want to bring the Gemais, but it's not everything is just words, and there's a certain hergish that is saying a din. It's not just the din that he's saying. There's a lot of there's something behind this din. There's an emek behind this din. Something that says that the kav chazer here is in the mashal is the Rav when he says the Indian, he says it with a chayis. So you have one ifin is someone has if the whole Indian of let's say you have a Rav Talmud and the Rav is giving over a gvis Indian alakus. So you have one way he's giving over. He's dry. He's cold. I spoke once the Yid not allowed. She is. This is the first time I heard such a eishprach. So he says, yeah, not like the shit of the Balatanya that there's no other mitzvahs outside of Holocaust. Okay, you go out. It's a whole. It's a ganze. I'm saying it's the whole. The ganze 11. The whole idea of Chassidus is in the Vadich. Like it's out there. It's another shit. You have like 3 days in Sfardim when they get. Out there, shit is. Everyone say, but 3 shittas when they get the mitzvahs elements. Shit number 1 is shittas chveis hagra, it's a yeda, it's a nishda. So it puts it into a whole different shit. It's not a shitta. It's a whole seder achayim without Rebbe eingeführt. I'm saying it's not just a shaila how you teach havaya chod. It's much more than that. So you can have someone that just says it as a it's a raya. Al Rebbe had a raya from psukim. So you say we have a kasha in a pasuk. 3 ways of explaining this pasuk. We have a few kashas. We have the Eir Chaim's pshat, and Al Rebbe said a pshat. That's one way, okay? And Al Rebbe said a pshat. In fact, that kasha is like that. Then Al Rebbe, it's not just a kasha and a teres. Al Rebbe wanted to reveal the truth. He wanted to reveal the premise of a lakus. The way he revealed it was through a kasha and a pasuk and a teres. Says Cheshvan gave him from a kasha and a teres. It didn't begin from a pshat on a pasuk. It's a certain inyan that Rebbe brought it out through. So even though the poel that Rebbe didn't come and say chayis, he didn't come and say we want to reveal now the pnimius atzmos. It was through a levush, but it's the levush, the way it's an extension, the way it comes from, and the way it results in a mahus, in an inyan. It's nirgash in the gvul that this is not stam gvul. It's a gvul which is an extension of something which is bli gvul. Elamai, we can't express the bligvul the way it is, at least one line of the inyan, which is really also be'etzim inside the bligvul. There's also the eira gvul. That's the truth. That's remarked before. Lifnei tzimtzum from man and shtam taka that there's eira gvul, that there's a way to bring a raya for eira delvadi, because the fact that eira delvadi is ain't safe. If it's ain't safe, it's not limited. You could also explain it. Lepel the Talmud is not a keli to feel the ain't safe kameshi. But the seichel, he could be. There's 2 ways how to be margish the raya, the yichach for enel levadi. One if it's not a truk and a yichach. There's no life to it. So we have a raya that enel levadi, or that's the way. This raya is a way to connect to the emes of elikus, the enel levadi. Lepal, you're not a keli to be margish more, so it's the way. But it's nirgish in the raya that it stems from an inyan which is much more truer and deeper than the nikud itself. That's the chazer v'heir.
I thought that's what the siluk was. It's taking that away.
The siluk, the kav is the eira gvul. That's the seichel shayich latalmud. Now the siluk, the eira shayich latalmud without simsum. So the seichel shayich latalmud is a prat in the bli gvul. It's a prat in the insof. The siluk gufe is the eira shayich lamakabel. The kav itself is the eira gvul. Now the kav, the way it is lifnei tzimtzum, is not nicker between the kav and the insof, because it's mortiv. the pnimis murder of the chitzenis. Through the siluk, the kav is nivdal atzma. You see the eira gvul. But then without chazer v'heir is eira gvul, but the eira gvul, you don't have more than that. The nukuda is that the bligvul should be nimshach through the gvul. So that you need that the kav should be nimshach from the tnuah, that the ein sof is in the tnuah of chazer v'heir. You have two. In other words, the kav is nimshach from the ein sof, but the way from two opposite tnuahs. On one hand, you couldn't have this eira gvul unless there was a siluk. He's mereimim. He's not looking to express himself the way he is. Leidach, it means he's expressing himself in a way that someone which is totally not him should be able to feel it. That's one hand. Erakav. Erakav is that who should be by Vemenzel Meir Zain Elokus, by someone which is not shayches, which is in Welt, which is in Elamis, which is outside of the mitzvahs of Elokus. That's on one hand. The fact that Erakav is the mechumen of Erakav is to give over the Ein Sof to someone which is outside of Elokus. So there is a tnu of siluk. So there's a chshivas to gvul. That's on one hand. Leidach, there's a chshivas to gvul, but we want that through this gvul, there should be a bligvul, should be nimshach. So that's the chazer beheir. That's the two in yon. On one hand, the Rav is in a tnu of his almus to be machshiv the Talmud himself, and to be machshiv the seichel hashayich la Talmud himself. This is Leidach, the Rav la'achri he was kaveh in himself that there's a chshivas to the Talmud and a chshivas to the seichel hashayich la Talmud. Now he wants that seichel should be nirgash how it stems from the bligvul. It should come as a hemshech to the bligvul. The kav is really a chibur of two. I mentioned this. It's a chibur of two tnuas. It's tiferes anela. The kav is not bligvul and it's not gvul. It's that the bligvul should be nimshach in gvul. That's the mashal of the Rav Talmud. When the Rav, this whole system of tzimtzum for the sake of being, it's not the point. Is not just explaining to the Talmud. The point is that the Talmud, which is be'etzem not misugol to the Indian, we should also be able to have. He should have an appreciation for the Indian itself. So for that, you have to have two tnuas in the Rav. On one hand, he has to give space for a Talmud, which is totally not the Ein Sof. Leidach, his Ein Sof has to be able to be Meir in that space. To be Meir in a Eifin that the Talmud should be able to be carried. The Elam heard him in an abyssal. Should we see? Let's see the Lashon inside. The point is not to darshan, the point is to see. It's a Zem Vashteda. Sagt er sich. Where are we holding? Should we start again from the just to see the lush? Let's see. I can't know. Should I about that? Tzimtzum. Come can we be Chaim? Just not much. In other words, Chod the kav. Du sagst der kav ist nicht mehr Amar. Kav ist Tzimtzum. Kav ist gvul. Was sagst du? Ist mehr Amar. Kav ist gvul. Dann sagt er das. Und wir be Chaim. Just not much. Tzimtzum. Ich konnte nicht auf kav Hachodesh in der Regel schon. First of all, steht in Chaim that kav is nimshach from Acharat Tzimtzum. There's was nimshach from Ein Sof. Yeah, this is also the chura of word of not stam eira gvul. That was verstehen, but even this word itself, I don't know, you have to know exactly the chilukim, but it's not stam a word of eira gvul. It's that the eira gvul, but I think this is better the dogma that I was saying. Someone that says a psak din, but there's different. Someone that says a psak din, or he learned all the none before. The psak din is going to come out differently. This is just the Eitz Chaim itself. What Chassidus brings the word of chazer v'heir is that when the Rav says the svara, he says it with a chayis. So the Talmud sees where does this chayis come from? Because the Rav is living with this Indian. So it's not just Stam Psei Chacha. There's much more than that. So that's already Nikr Begoli. That's not Stam a Raya. It's a Raya which stems from, because there's the Indian of Mahus over here. There's the Indian of chayis over here. It's more. But even this word itself, I think is the good mashal, is the Stam Azeh Psak Din from introduction book. Others, it comes from someone that appreciates the Indian Gufa. But okay. Yeah, das ist nicht Gmeis. Fragt was kostet man gemacht. If I'm sure Zakabo Shachar since we saw searches in Yerich. Nimshach release beginas kiro. V'hainu, what's in other words, from what tnua was the kav nimshach? The kav is not stam nimshach from the air shlifnet simsum, but in what for that tnua is the air? The air in such shlifnet simsum, which b'shas at simsum is not tnua of removing himself from his gilui, to be in his almas, to keep his reichkeit contained within himself. And the Eira Kav is not, as it's what Ken Zem said the Eitz Chaim itself. The Eira Kav is Nimshach, there's Amshach of Kav from Ein Sof, not the way the Ein Sof is in a Tnuah of Gilui. Not that the Ein Sof is now in a reverse Tnuah and he's asking to express himself. He's constraining himself. But it should be Nirgash in the Gvul, you should know that there's something hidden over here. That's the Mitzad Eitz Chaim itself. The kav is nimshach from the Ein Sof. It's negea reisha kav is already negea be Ein Sof. But was for the tnu from was for the tnu stammt der kav is the tnu Ein Sof the ways in the tnu of restraining himself. Means elamai on them say like under Ein Chaim the what given. The Talmud here's a svara, and it wouldn't be negesh that there's anything more than this svara. The kav you should know that I'm telling you a little bit. There's much more hidden over here, but not that the hidden in state is galus. Inkin das befragt kvam vor makom acher that the even am shach shachas hu shachas is almost er just nimshach hagalis bkhana skidu behind the shach sakav it no half khsmetzen smakel which is sidike and what's the chayke chazer v'nimshach what's heinish be in itself different at sim zum chazer beher with the shach sakav there was a different tnua in the kav is never so the tnua sagili in the insof so kav is in of ermein amar heard it once by Suda. Der Rashagab is the Pratum point. The Rashagab is told the Rebbe that the Chodesh is a Machalif. That Chazer Beheir, this Chazer Beheir, and the Rebbe said that that's clear in its Chaim or something. It wasn't. The Rebbe says that's clear in its Chaim. Says with the Lashon Chazer Beheir. What's the Rebbe says? Okay, well let's see what it says. Yeah, the Marshal Bashmas says Chama Rav Latam. The Betchil says Chli Tzimtzum. Shemai the Mashiach L'Gamri. V'chari v'dishi nim tzera Shaykh L'Makabel. So what's in order for there to be the Eira Shaykh L'Makabel? Stam is it the Seichel? Asvar is Asvar. Is a leichten by the Makabel. Is also cheren the etzem mashpia for that Chazer Eiru Meir. Kima Siduk Levader Li Matz Eira Shaykh L'Makabel. Means Eir. It should be Meir the etzem Arab, not just Stam as Asvar. But for the Eir you have to have Chazer Meir Lecharkach. This is Masiduk. If nim tzera Shaykh L'Makabel. Fine, I should see. So what's the way? Because that after she wants it, you have to listen to them. She's listening to them. Okay, this you have to understand what's the pshat. There could be a silik and a ifin that's. Was them sim is a shumer of kasher. Silik any legam as masid gufik nim tzerach shalach on the kabel. See that you see this went through. Lish kanim tzerach kedem apkesh sim satzim. So ozen lik klau. We do a shade at simtzum nas avdol ben apnim b'stritzenis. But there's an asniker esh lam kabel. Yeah. Aber zeh rak b'chinas nekud klolos levad. So he's aber anybody in khinas gilui afilu mergish laatzmi Hachodesh Shiur hashayach lamakav khinas gilui gam laatzmi dafka tch Chazer Meir khulu that's me the tnu of gilui. Yeah, that means that in the seichel hashayach latam there should be an in of gilui there. There's a her in there in something in that dafka through the tnu of Chazer Meir. Yeah, he's made more pratim in order for that the seichel should be in a tnu of gilui bichlal. Okay, but that's this pratimir. Lamer zen just what's negel in. Kumekin yuven lamayla. Hachodesh Yigilei Akav Zadafka they should lift that some gufa Chazer Meir. In order for there to be the Gilei Akav, that means the Kav should be. We were saying Tona in a tnu of Gilui, ifin of Eir and Gilui, not just hechreichim in Gvul, not just Eir Gvul. It should be in a tnu of Gilui. That through the kav, that kav is giving over the chayis of Elokus, as the Eibishter, nicht stam as a rayis v'yichoches. But there's an Eibishter, it's not just the truk and the rayis, for that's to the lifnei tzimtzum gufo, is even of Chazer Eiru Meir. The tnu of Gilui, tnu of his galus saying so. Move ein in Meir, begidim amish k'meshayim kedem. The Yevshe Shia is Gilui Eir. Av mekom k'marei Meir. I mean, it's not Meir k'meishuhu, the ganzer ein sof k'meishuhu. Mitzad the rachet of ein sof, there's no song with the gvul. It's a whole different. It's a different tnur. What's gonna? You're not gonna let us come here again, or?
About the shiur.
Sorry, don't worry.
Good. I got fun and what happened? What were we saying? What's given the kitrug da? Wasn't da gonna? Yeah, it means it wouldn't be with. I remember what we were saying. Okay. But it wouldn't be an eifin of Gilui, of Eir, huh?
What?
Yeah. Of the Chayis, the Chayis in. Yeah, I sage as a Eps what nicht given Chazer Eiru Meir, so it would be Rayis ve'Chachas, it would be all the name of Gvul, Chachma ve'Chesed. Eir means as Herzach Zdan Eibishter. There's an Ein Sof, which is not Rayis and not Chachas. The only way we're able to tap into this Lebed Gezach, to this Mahuz of Ein Sof, is through a Raya ve'Chachas. But the Rai Vechach, it's in of Gilui. It's a method with Eibishter's Mizgala. So on one hand, he says it's not the Ein Sof Kameshu. The Ein Sof Kameshu doesn't give any sense to Gvul. It's the Ein Sof, the way it could be expressed through Gvul. It's the Chayis, the Rav Lichtish in Zayin Chayis only. He wants on one hand this Chayis should be Meir, means his mahus connected should be Meir, but in a way that shouldn't blind the Talmud, in a way that the Talmud should be able to make So that's a chibur of both. Both in yon. Bechitzeni is the kavaz yirid, bepnimis is the first and that's a deeper in. Good. So that was just chazim. Move and change. Maybe the mamshkin shekedem. Yef she has gider. Kon kan Meir. I am shkozim ze bedat tikur shemachal. Kein are yamshos gavad the kirid in itself. Kein fact the shad. Ma khashakav Meir in itself shlefnat sim safkos of the kav. According to this beer, what comes out? What comes out according to this beer? From Vanen stammt Erakav. In other words, where do you get Erak Bull from? The way the mashmas over here is, from this lush and the mashmas is like this. From the whole Arichus of Erakav, the way he says like this. Lifnat Simsim is Ein Sof. It's at Ein Sof, is one Ekodah, the Blikvul of Elikus. I have Gvul there, it's all like Titzah of the Shlemas of Blikvul. How do you get to Erakav, which is the Chibur of Blikvul and Gvul? Not Gvul the way it's a Prat and Blikvul, Gvul, but the Chibur of these two in Yon. So in order to get to Erakav, you have to have Simsim. That's what he's masbir. Was this in the get the next verse? He said, through Tzimtzum you have the Ein Sof, the way it's Meir, in Elumas. So the kash over here is, since the Kaf Sof Kosav is Chazer Be'er, so it's Me'ein the Ein Sof Shlefnat Tzimtzum. V'achoch Mimchines Gilei Helum L'Gabei HaKav, so how's Yeshman L'Gabei Atzim Serin Sof? We have one Atzim Serin Sof. The only difference between Eira Seviv, the Amshacha Aleph, and Amshacha Beis is, this went through Tzimtzum, this didn't go through Tzimtzum. But you're saying that even the Kav which went through Tzimtzum is Davok to the Ein Sof and is Me'ein Ein Sof. So Chochmah is Me'ein HaKav, so how is not Me'ein the Ein Sof? That's child number one that he has. The second child that he has is, according to this beer. According to this beer, how did Kav become, how is the Amshach Hashniya, how does it happen? Lechatchila mitzad in sof, there's two Amshachas, or mitzad in sof is blikvol, in order for there to be Amshach of Ein Sof and Gvol, that's to Tzimtzum. So stammt from the Ein Sof. The Alter Rebbe says the Maimon Reveal of Shmalchus that from the Ein Sof there's too many Amshachas. It means even before Tzimtzum there's two in Yonim, in Ein Sof. According to this beer, that from Vanen stammt that the air is mugbel. It's neveh mitzad tzimtzum through siluk. And the ganze mashal b'saret. Durch dem is geworden der chibur from the air and the tzimtzum, the tnu hafchim in the kav. That on one end the kav is neveh mitzad chazer beher. Mitzad sheni there's tzimtzum. Bazeh, it's not massive. The Alter Rebbe says that there's too many amshachas lifnei tzimtzum.
He's asking a question on the question, on his own question.
Right. So this is
says it.
According to the question. According to this beer in Erakav. According to this beer in Erakav, so the Chorei Bazeh, then first of all, why is it Yeshma'ayin the Gabi the Ein Sof? Why is it two Amshachas b'chol? Why is it two Amshachas b'chol? According to this beer, that Erakav, the fact that it's Erakav, Shemchaz Bulamida, is Mitzad Tzimtzum, so it's not too many Amshachas.
It comes there, that's not made right? It comes out, that's not.
No. According to Alter Rebbe, it's Beis Min Amshachas? Not necessarily.
No.
Here he says Mein Amar, because it's Chazer Beher. That's
true.
That's nicht das Frekte. Nicht das Frekte.
Was fragt ihr?
No, vielleicht der zweite Scheide. He's asking, the Alter Rebbe sagt doch anders. The Alter Rebbe doesn't say that there's Ein Sof. And the Amshachas of B'chinas Gvul Midas through Tzimtzum. The Alter Rebbe says, M'chatchila mitzad Ein Sof, there's two types of Amshachas. Is that what I'm saying?
She said it was
What's the V'manet kommt Erakav?
He's asking a question about it.
That this beer, that's going to be a Gdomet to say there's two Ein Ein Sof. We'll see. Let's see the way he asks.
We said it was always there. No?
Good, but the fact what was always
So
there is
wasn't
that
it's not
no,
doing
what was
it.
always there was the Erak Vol, but the Kav is a new invention, so to speak. Through Tzimtzum, we found a way to connect Gvol, not Gvol as a prat and Blikvol, Gvol with Blikvol. Let's see, Elamis with Elikos. We found a way to connect. So Kav is Amshachas in Sof B'chinas Bulomida. That's Kav. Then so now, what's the beer? How is it that Ein Sof was able to Nimshach B'chinas Bulomida? What's the beer that he says? Through Tzimtzum. Through Tzimtzum with Derech Siluk, now there's Nikr the Chitzenius, the Gvul has a Chshibis, and now you can have Chazer Veheir and be Mamshach the Ein Sof in the Gvul. It's not two separate things. The Tzimtzum, the Eir Ein Sof went through two Tnuas. The Eir Ein Sof was Mailim himself, which gave space to Mekabel, and Chazer Veheir, that his Eir Shememir in the Mekabel. That's Erakab. So this Indian of Ein Sof B'chinas Gvul Mida, from Manet Komtis. That's the famous of that Tzimtzum. Not said Eir Ein Sof himself. The Alter Rebbe says in the Maimon Terah that Be'er Ein Sof yesh 2 mini Amshachas. Not the mitzad that Tzimtzum vert the Indian from Amshachas B'chinas Gvul Mida. Mitzad Eir Ein Sof atzmei there becomes Indian of Amshachas B'chinas Gvul Mida. Not mitzad the Tzimtzum. It says Gam Tzachon Be'ikir in his word Lesh Beis Min Amshachas B'chinas Ein Sof B'chinas Mida Gvul. V'hainu B'chinas Malchas Ein Sof B'chinas Seva Kol B'chinas Sekav B'chinas Malcham and Me'achar shesh neim Nefshachim B'chinas Ein Sof B'chinas Tzimtzum Lama Zeh B'chinas Ein Sof Zeh B'chinas Gvul. Yeah, I'm saying it. I was going to say the question wrong. What he's saying is, it's the same Nekodah. What he's saying is, the Alter Rebbe says that mitzad Ein Sof Gufa there's two in Yom, even before Tzimtzum. Mitzad Ein Sof Gufa there's two types of Amshachas. You have 8 Ein Sof. Mitzad Ein Sof Gufa, there's 2 mini Hamshachas. One B'chinas Gvul Mida, one B'chinas Ein Sof. Not Mitzad Tzimtzum. What we're saying, the beer before it is, the Mitzad Tzimtzum, you have this in you. But from Varan Shtamtastak, it's the Rav to begin with goes through this process in order to be Mechaber the Gvul and the Bli Gvul. From Varan Kumt Tastak the Chibur of Gvul and Bli Gvul, because Mitzad Ein Sof, there's 2 mini Hamshachas. So someone said, the Rebbe Shav Shaila is from Varan, what's these 2 Tnuas in Ein Sof? Manashach, is Ein Sof an Indian which is Sheilu Gvul, or it's an Indian which is connected to Gvul? From Varan Take Kum, Di Tzvei I said that it's the Feres Anela, that's already a beer that the Rebbe will see here, the way the Rebbe will say this is Mefar the Indian. But the question is, if Kaf only came from Tzimtzum, good, it came from Tzimtzum. But here we're saying it's not from, the Rebbe says it doesn't come from Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum is just the Izgalus of that Indian. Mitzat Ein Sof Gufa, there's 2 Pchinas. There's Pchinas Ein Sof, and there's Pchinas Hamshach and Pchinas Gvul. How is a Kamla Peil Mamash Begali through Tzimtzum? But the Indian is Mushish in 8 Ein Sof Gufa. So the question is the Zalber Ein Sof. From what's the mucker of these 2 Tnuas? Mitzad Echad, Mitzad Ein Sof, there's a Shlila of Gvul. That's Era Seder. Mitzad Sheni, Mitzad Ein Sof, he gives space to bring Mitzad to himself. There could be a Chibur of Bli Gvul and Gvul. From Varan Shtam, die zwei Sorten Hamshachas.
When he says because of a hair, that's the reason why it's still Me'enamar, right?
Yeah. This is not a kasha on that.
Yeah, I'm
The
saying.
Gam Tzalchom is not a kasha on the
I understand. I'm saying, but how did those 2 Inyanim go together?
The what?
Tzimtzum and because of a hair.
That's what Mazri given. That's what I was trying to explain. That the point of Tzimtzum is not Gvul. It's that the Bli Gvul should be made in the Gvul.
You can still. So what? So you're saying. So you're saying.
It's Mein Amar. The Nekuda
only
is
say Yesh Me'ayin
not the
something.
Bli Gvul Kamei Shehu. Yeah, Yesh Me'ayin is something that has no Shaykh's Klal. It's a Naya Inyan. The Eid HaKav is not a Naya Inyan. It's not the Bli Gvul Kamei Shehu B'chol HaTekev Shalos.
Even when we say Tzimtzum Zachsiluk, it could still be because of a hair.
Avada.
So you're saying because of a hair is not. Yesh
And
Me'ayin.
B'meiletz Gilei Helam. Yeah, B'meiletz Gilei Helam. It's in of Eretz. It's Mein Amar. It's that the Ein Sof should be made involved. That's the whole part of Chazar V'Eir. Das Vetter ein Scheile. Dann noch Vetter a zweite Scheile. Und von wann kommt das Tag, Mitzad Ein Sof, you have these two separate unionen. Man Hemshech, is Mitzad Ein Sof Shlilas HaGvul, or Mitzad Ein Sof is Hemshech bit B'chinas Gvul? Und von wann kommt das die zwei Tunnus?
The Losh is a bit anders, yeah?
What's the Lashon is anders?
Lama zeh b'chinas Ein Sof, zeh b'chinas Gvul. Saying, why is Gemara?
If it is the same Ein Sof, Shneien Hemshech Ein Sof Lefnei Tzimtzum, was is Ein Sof? Was for that Tnu wird Mitzad Ein Sof? Ein Sof, the Eivish is Bli Gvul. What's the result of that?
Why can't it be both?
Because it's two opposite Tnuas. Seviv is Bittul Eilemis, Kulak Mekalach Shiv, Bittul Amitzis, wir können nicht verstehen, wir können mehr verstehen. Seviv says just Mitzad Tzimtzum, we water down the Bli Gvul, there's an Esmagam, but the other says not in Mitzad, it's because we water down the Bli Gvul, and we were Mitzamtzum, the Bli Gvul, it should be Behesim to the Gvul. It's like Atchila Mitzad Yitzaf, to has die zwei Inyan. And this Inyan of Bli Gvul together with Gvul, the Poel Mamish is God through the two Tnuas in the air, through the Tzimtzum and the Chazar V'Heir. The Tzimtzum and Chazar V'Heir, that's only in order to Areiz bring in this Nekuda that Ein Sof has this Inyan of Hamshach B'chinas Gvul Amida.
So you're saying, it says it what we said before. You're saying, what we said before, that the Gvul is Nichal, it's like the way it's Nichal in the Gvul. So you're saying, if we're saying it's two Hamshachas before Tzimtzum, then it's not one thing called another thing, it's two separate things. That's what he's asking. I mean,
Before it was before.
No. Before it was Mitzad Seviv Gufa. Mitzad Seviv is Ein Sof. There's Gvul and Seviv too. But the Gvul and Seviv is a prat in Ein Sof. Erakab, the Gvul is not a prat in Bli Gvul, it's Gvul. And there's the Chibur of Bli Gvul and Gvul. That's the Erakab. Whereas Dr. Tzvei there, Zog, that even though the Kav is a Chibur of Bli Gvul and Gvul, but Alpha became, even though the Kav is a Chibur of Bli Gvul and Gvul, Parshas is Mazur through Tzimtzum. But it's a Chashan with Tzimtzum, it's a Chashan from Eir.
Shali is we can say it's no Sof.
Yeah, Vanishtan, where does these two opposite tunas come? If Mitzad Ein Sof, Mitzad Ein Sof is Ein Arechel, everything's bottled, or Mitzad Ein Sof, no, there's a Chibur of Gvul and Bli Gvul. And you can't say that's all Mitzad Tzimtzum. Because the Alter Rebbe says that it's Nimshach Mitzad Ein Sof. The Tzimtzum is just the way that this Nekuda Ein Sof is Nizgala. Okay, from Acheninu, it's Chananayinu. This is the one of the. I'm saying this is Ein Chelik in the Inyan. Now there's this is really the Yisei the Inyan from Acheninu. You ever learned this? Yeah, it's interesting. Okay.